Hello, my name is Gabby and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here then welcome to my channel, and in today's video I am going to be reading 3 random manga series. So I'm going to be choosing 2 series from Viz and 1 from K-Manga. The only rules are that it has to be a series that I am not currently caught up to, because I'm going to be reading a minimum of 10 chapters here. If it has 10 chapters or less, I am just going to read it in full. And for K-Manga specifically, it has to be 10 chapters that are either free or only need tickets to unlock the chapters, because I am currently saving my K-Manga points for another series, so unless we land on Medalist, those will not be used today. I just pulled up the Viz app on my e-reader, and now let's go ahead and find out what series we are going to be reading today, and I'm just gonna look away and scroll. Okay, so this is a Viz original one-shot entitled Parhelion. So where there is normally a description, there is just an editor's note about the mangaka. But it does sound like this is a little bit of a sequel of sorts to his original one-shot. But it says all new story, all new characters, so we're gonna give it a try anyway. And if it gets a little bit confusing, I'll just go back to the first one. Okay, let's go ahead and find the second series. I feel like I know nothing about the first one. Okay, so this is entitled Not Simple. Again, I know nothing about it because the description is once again mostly just about the mangaka. Complex, powerful, and emotionally wrenching, Not Simple is a novel told in visual form by one of the most acclaimed creators at work today. Let's look them up. Okay, so she's also a BL author, which is interesting. Complex, powerful, and emotionally wrenching sounds like it's going to be a time. And honestly, I'm kind of looking forward to it. Like, I'm kind of hoping that I've accidentally stumbled upon something that I'm going to really love. And it's also only 14 chapters, so unless I really hate it and something goes really wrong, I think I'm gonna try to read all of this. Okay, now moving on to K-Manga. With her flowing black dress, roaring chainsaw, and android werewolf, vampire, and blood warrior at her service, the Princess of Monsters is back. Yasunori Mitsunaga's masterpiece, Princess Resurrection, is hereby resurrected for a new series. Horror, mystery, suspense, SF fantasy. It is 56 chapters, most of them are either free or ticketed, which is perfect. Again, I don't think I know anything about this one. There is something about this that does feel like a little bit familiar to me, but I feel like I'm thinking about another series like completely separate from this. It also sounds like it's some sort of reboot, so that will be interesting. I think I'm a little bit hopeful about this one, and we're gonna see how it goes. Okay, so that is all 3 of them. I'm going to go read them, and when I come back, I will have reviews. Starting off with Parhelion. This is set in a doomed world. They need to find somebody to save that world, and that person is going to be somebody who is blessed by the dragon. And yeah, it is so short and simple that anything else just feels like a spoiler, so I'm gonna stop there. Which, this one is kind of hard for me to have thoughts about. It was so short, like 50 to 60 pages, and it feels like the first chapter of an ongoing longer series, but it is not. That is not the case here. It is a one-shot. So while it wrapped up the story of the one-shot, it also felt like it didn't wrap up the whole story at the same time, or at least a story that could be or could have been. Now, this is also set in the same world as this mangaka's other work, so maybe I'm just missing something because of that. I'm really not entirely sure, but that all being said, I did enjoy this. If this were the first chapter of something longer, I would probably give it a few more. But it also felt basic at the same time, so it's kind of hard to say. I liked it. I liked the art. I liked the dragon. The characters were fine, but nothing really blew me away either here. I might go back and read the other work from this universe to see if that changes anything for me, but we will see. Which brings us to Not Simple. And this follows Ian, who has a fractured family history, and his travels as he goes from Australia to England to America through the narrative of another character named Jim who wants to capture Ian's experiences in a novel. Okay, so I did read the whole thing here. I don't think I would have been able to stop if I wanted to. The first chapter is a prologue of sorts, and it's basically the end of the series. So you know how everything ends, but you only get pieces of how they got there, and you spend the rest of the series filling in the blanks, and I loved the structure of this. The chapters flew by, and I needed to know how everything came together. And the answer to that is dark and sad, and the more reveals that there were, the darker and more sad that it got. Like, major content warnings for this one for sure. I did not leave this feeling good, because I was so invested in it. I thought the art style was interesting. I do think that it is a little bit difficult to follow at times when it comes to like composition and layout and the overall pacing, but it also wasn't anything super detrimental for me at the same time. I do think think that I was hoping that this would like really land its smarter choices here. When those moments were attempted, they just never fully got there for me. So it's not perfect, and due to the nature and just like the contents of the story, I can't really say that I liked or enjoyed it either. It's heavy, but also maybe the best thing that I've encountered in the 3 times that I've done this type of video, and it hooked me in, and it certainly left an impact on me. It definitely lived up to its name. And then we have Princess Resurrection Nightmare, and this follows the Princess of Monsters. She wields a chainsaw, and she has an android, a werewolf, a vampire, and a blood warrior at her service. And one day they wake up in a cottage with amnesia of who they are and how they got there. Okay, so this series does chapters a little bit differently, where each chapter has like multiple parts, and I did read through part 2 of chapter 10, which is the first 2 volumes and then also a little bit more, so I ended up reading a lot more of this series than I originally expected to. And this is a spin-off slash reboot of sorts of the original Princess Resurrection series, of which I have not watched or read or had really even had heard of before this. But I still found some enjoyment out of this. I don't think you necessarily need the original here, but I'm also sure that I am missing like a lot of character lore and references that might actually genuinely be an issue later on in the series, because there are other characters involved who I assume were a part of the original who don't have amnesia like the rest of the cast. So while I was okay with the first set of chapters, I can't confidently say that it would have remained that way throughout the whole series. And I thought the amnesia aspect was interesting. Like, it provides a mystery to solve that's kind of just like hanging over the whole series. Although I'm not sure they ever will solve that mystery, because it also just gave them like a convenient way to reboot the series. So I'm not sure how seriously they're taking it, but if they do take it seriously and it does play a larger factor later on, I think that's cool. I thought the characters themselves were, again, fine. The main character does have some morally gray tendencies, which I thought made her interesting, and also added to the tone of the series as a whole, because this series does have some really dark horror panels that I actually really liked. They had some really fun beings and creatures, and it's a really episodic series, so I got to read about quite a few of them. But it's also so episodic that my enjoyment of it did vary depending on what they were doing and what the storyline was for that chapter. So I thought some of them were super interesting, but others not so much. There's also like this non-serious tone to the series that combines with the horror, and I don't necessarily feel like they're going for comedy, so it was an interesting combination. It does kind of feel and read like a spin-off or reboot, like they just have that vibe to them. I don't know, it's one of those that I could see myself like reading more of until it's done, but also I kind of just don't want to at the same time. Like, it's very middle of the road for me, but still in the positive. They also didn't not make me slightly curious about the original series either. So while I do feel like I'll probably just end up forgetting about this, those thoughts are there, and I do think that that means something. Okay, so that is all 3 of them. Do I think that we could have done better? Absolutely, but I'm also not mad at this at the same time. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, and answer the question that'll be around here if you want to do that, and hopefully I will see you here next time. Bye!